So yes, folks, we have a second video today because there's been a lot of interesting developments regarding Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders, basically in the United States and in Canada. Of course, these were supposed to happen on April 7th, and then yeah, they didn't happen because of the ongoing tariff situation that was occurring at the time. Now, we've been covering a lot of this stuff on the channel. I'm still not an economist or anything like that. I think I got a little bit of a better grasp on how things like that work, but it seems like pretty much everything has settled down when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 side of things, because Nintendo, of course, moved production for everything pretty much to Vietnam when it came to the US distributed Nintendo Switch 2 systems. And Vietnam, or Vietnam, I probably say it two different ways if you go back in my previous videos, of course, is not being subjected to the same tariffs that are going on within China. So many people are wondering, like, when the hell can we pre-order these things? Like, it seems like, it should have been any day now. It comes out in June, on June 5th. When are we going to get an update on that? Now, I, of course, speculated that I thought there would be something involved with the Mario Kart World presentation that would give us a glimpse as to when we would be able to pre-order the system. That was just me speculating. That was no sort of insider information, but there has been a couple of updates since I talked about that pertaining to the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. Now, Wario64 had made a post about, I believe it was Target's system registry, basically changing the date to April 30th and basically saying this is probably a placeholder date because we still anticipate that you will be able to pre-order them in the month of April. But of course, people don't understand placeholder dates. There are people that thought Metroid Prime 4 was coming out on December 31st, 2024, because that's what some retailers had as the listing for it. And if you're an intelligent person, you would know that that is completely incorrect. Why would you make a video or something on that? But I definitely think that is a placeholder date. But what I don't think is a placeholder date is the latest update from Bill Kun. I don't know how you say it, but they have been pretty spot on when it comes to leaks about certain things, leaks about certain events, and leaks about when things are going to be coming out. And according to Bill Kun, upcoming release, from what I can see through some Canadian retailers, Nintendo Switch 2 console and bundle pre-orders should start from April 23rd, 2025, valid in Canada. Date subject to change. Can't confirm if it's the same for the US. I will keep you updated if it changes. So I know it says Canada, but if you've been following the situation, you would know that Canada actually changed the pre-order date based on what was happening in the US. So I would say more than likely the pre-order date for Canada and the US are going to be exactly the same. Now, April 23rd is of course a week from this upcoming Thursday. So that would be next Thursday, 1 week after the Mario Kart World presentation. And that is a bit of a possibility, I think. If they come into this Mario Kart World presentation for, showing off the game, and then at the end they're like, we know you've been wondering when you can pre-order the system. If you live in the United States or in Canada, pre-orders will open on April 23rd. I think that's pretty logical. I still think that there's a chance that maybe they could go up, Thursday, but I also feel like they would want to have a little bit of a run up. You remember, like, initially it was a week from the Nintendo Direct presentation when we learned, for the Switch 2, I should say, and when we learned that we will be able to pre-order the system. Now, that's not the only thing I'm going to talk about in this video, because I actually have something else that I want to kind of piggyback onto this concerning pre-order related things. Because, okay, let's say April 23rd is the date. How hard is this going to be in order to get your hands on it? Now, I saw Nintendo, which is a large Twitter account powered by Deku Deals. They tell you, like, basically different sorts of savings you can get on various games. Very friendly people. I've interacted with them before. Pretty much anyone who hasn't blocked me on Twitter, I consider to be, like, at least somewhat nice, because I don't know, lots of people block me on Twitter. But they basically put out a post saying that they heard through various sources that GameStop was getting roughly 100 Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders per store. And everyone lost their mind over that. Like, only 100? Well, that's not enough, blah, blah, blah. What about all the big stock with this? And I'm sitting back as someone who, granted, worked there, you know, almost 20 years ago, but I'm sitting there like 100 per store. What are you complaining about? When I worked at GameStop, the Xbox 360 had just came out. And so our shipments of Xbox 360s were like 10 to 15, and we were one of the busiest stores in the region because we were a newer store. So because we were a newer store, that meant that people in our area, you know, they didn't have a way to buy video games. If we wanted to buy video games, because, you know, the internet was still kind of, you know, this is what, 2007, 2008, around there. You know, the internet, you could buy stuff on there, but there wasn't like next day Amazon stuff and crap like that. So in order to buy video games in our town, you'd have to drive 40 minutes over to Vietnam and, you know, go there to buy games and stuff like that. So we were one of the busiest stores. We constantly were like the top 1 or top 2 of sales per week, because I would be on those calls, and we would get like 10 to 15 Xbox 360s, 100 Switch 2s going to each individual GameStop. And yes, granted, some GameStops have closed over time because of things in that sort of situation, but there are still areas that are heavily, you know, populated with several GameStop locations. That's actually quite a large number. That is at the retail level we are talking about, a person walking into the store, not you buying the system online. Plus, you have all these other places where you could buy it: Target, Best Buy, Walmart, Amazon themselves. Like, this isn't, I don't think that is a sign that people have been kind of taking this as a small quantity of systems. Now, they did also mention that software looked a little bit soft, no pun intended, as well. And I also think that that is probably on purpose. I do think Nintendo is kind of wanting to push more people towards digital stuff this generation. Obviously, with the digital game cards and stuff like that coming out, you know, a lot of these games, you're going to have to buy them digitally, either a physical digital or a digital, one way or another. But when it comes to the systems, like, I don't think people should necessarily worry. Like, yeah, it's not going to be like, you know, super simple, but I do think Nintendo is doing a large quantity of stock, especially considering the ongoing tariff related situation. They are wanting to get as many systems into the US and by extension Canada as they can during this 90-day grace period on the tariffs. And of course, after the 90-day grace period, things could change, but then you also have people that were reporting that, you know, the Switch 2 was subject to tariff taxes and everything was going to go up, not taking into account that, like, most of it is done in Vietnam. So, you know, there's a lot of very interesting reporting going on out there. Is it necessarily being done maliciously, like some YouTubers are theorizing? I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, the average, you got to remember, we are pandering to the diehard gamer, not the average consumer. And the average consumer is not sitting there on Twitter all day, every day, and refreshing their YouTube subscription feed to see what's going on. Basically, if you're worried about 100 units going to your GameStop location, you shouldn't worry about that, because that's quite a decent number, all things considered. I'm sure if you go to your GameStop and ask them how many Nintendo Switch systems they got on day one, it was not 50. Or it was not 100, it was probably 50, because I remember going to my Best Buy and there was roughly 50 people in line. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section down below. Do you think that April 23rd is indeed going to be the date? And if so, are you ready? No, I said, are you ready? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, be sure to like, comment, share, hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.